Hey, what's going on, guys? So today I want to discuss the Supreme Leader Kylo Ren with Malak variation and how the Darth Revan team can still counter it. Both the Darth Revan with Marauder and Darth Revan with Thrawn. So here I go over this guy's team, just kind of what mods, what gear we're going to be fighting against. Pretty beefy team as well as pretty well modded. So I'm going to open up with a Marauder battle and then do some Thrawn in between and then finish up with Marauder again. So he's going to basically do the same opening sequence, whether it's a stun or basic. Sometimes it differs. But you do want to mod your Malak for a little bit of potency so you can land that shock. That's absolutely huge. You're going to have to fear Malak and then you're going to have to do the lightning. Your Darth Revan will be feared at this point. But the cool thing is that the AI has Malak programmed to drain life of the lowest HP, and that's always going to be your Malak because the rest of your team will pretty much have protection. And then it's going to be the same thing. You just want to keep beefing down the opponent SLKR and just keep going and going. I actually think the Marauder team is actually better than the Thrawn team in this variant, and you'll kind of see why later. Thrawn team does have a lot of control, but if you're going to use the Thrawn variant, you really do have to have a beefy Thrawn. He comes very close to dying because it's a lot more iffy during this Malak variant. So I would recommend full Sith Empire against this. But as you can see, the next battle, I do the same team, but now we are going to sub in Thrawn instead of Marauder, for those of you who don't have a Relic 7 Marauder. So basically it looks exactly like the other counter that I've done before, except you gotta pay attention to whether you're going to get fear on your own team from the opponent's Malak. Again, dispel the shock, put fear. The corrupted battle meditation on the opponent SLKR prevents him from being able to stun, by the way, because you can't do any debuffs when you have corrupted battle meditation. Again, keep track of opponent Sith Trooper, opponent Hux, and then when Malak comes out of fear, make sure you don't do any AoE from your Basashan on the lightning ricochets or the AoE shock right here, because then you're going to get feared and he will taunt. As well as just double basic, that way your fear on the whole team is up and ready to go next time. Put fear on Malak so he doesn't take a turn in case he has a shock ready, and look at that, you already have your fear back up. So having that double tap basic along with him having corrupted battle meditation on him is absolutely massive. So again, I would recommend putting some potency on your Malak, putting some potency on your Basashan Fallen. Again, the ferocity stacks do help, so that does add quite a bit of potency. I believe it's 8% per stack. But even with that, you just want to be extra safe and put some potency. So I have a potency cross on my Basashan Fallen, and that's pretty much all I need. And then I have 4 speed mods and 2 potency mods on my Malak to make sure that shock lands. Once you get to Malak, it's pretty easy. He's not very hard to take down. But then again, so here's another one. The very last match of this video is with a Marauder, and I purposely play the match poorly so you can see what happens and where you can still make sure you win after that. In this battle, I show what happens if you shock Malak first. It still is fine. I was fortunate not to hit a crit on Malak when I did my AoE shock with Darth Revan, but in the next battle, I do an AoE shock and do crit Malak, and I do get feared. So pay attention to the next video, and it definitely illustrates that you can still make sure you maintain control, because this Darth Revan counter is all about maintaining control, making sure the opponents have shock, making sure they're feared, because shock prevents them from getting the advantage, which allows so many different buffs. This team revolves very heavily around the advantage, but again, basic everything you do on SLKR. If you're not going to hit SLKR, then keep track of Hux or Sith Trooper. Make sure they have ability block on them. That's pretty big. Also, you saw my Thrawn almost die. that's what happens when he comes out of Fracture. So in this instance, I would highly recommend having a very beefy Thrawn if you're going to have to pull this off. I do think if my Thrawn did die, I still would have won, but it would have been 3 living instead of 4. It still would have worked fine. But for more banner efficiency, Thrawn living is better for banners. I do not think a Gear 12 low health or low protection Thrawn will do. I think you really need that Gear 13 if you're not going to run a lot of protection on him. But here you go. Here's where I go Marauder, and I purposely do stuff wrong and show you guys how you can pull this through. So the normal opening, it's pretty much every single time, unless he does a basic on the opener, but that's pretty much once every 20 times. So Shock on Malak, Fear, again, potency is huge. Shock, here we go. Darth Revan is now feared. Gonna open up with this. Corrupted Battle Meditation allows him to not get stunned, as well as Darth Revan shares his damage with his team. So having a lot of healthy teammates allows Darth Revan to survive that huge burst of damage, especially like that. And SLKR is programmed to go after Darth Revan over Malak. That's the priority order. So as you can see here, they're getting a bunch of buffs. The taunts are coming back. He resisted the stun, or not the stun, the shock, and you're still able to pull this through. So I have no option but to either basic or shock. So I'm like, let's just do shock. But again, if you look at Malak, the AI is programmed to drain life from your own Malak, and so he doesn't really heal all that much or do much damage. But yeah, and so Marauder can die, you can still pull this off. But the thing is Darth Revan's prioritized by SLKR over your own Malak. And so when he does his stun or his basic, the damage that Darth Revan gets, as you can see, look at Baselshan's HP. It's shared throughout the team. So having a beefy Malak, as well as Gear 13 teammates, is very helpful to keep your Darth Revan alive. But yeah, that's how you run this counter. It's just a little bit more tricky, and thank you for watching. Make sure you hit that like and sub button. Thanks.